Hey, Bob Desmond here. It's Monday, I think it's the 23rd of June, 2025. And I'm fitting the back on this Brazilian rosewood guitar. I'm doing the final fitting before I cut the notches for the braces. You can see the notches, you can see the braces sticking out there. So anyway, I use mirrors to line up my center line underneath. Actually, I do that with a flashlight, but I use a mirror to line up the center of the back strip to the center line of the guitar. Same on the front. I'm tripping over a stool here. Put a flashlight on. Same thing here. It's difficult to... There we go. Center of the heel, right in the middle of the marquetry, the center strip, okay? And front and back, I did the same thing. I move the mirror and I look at my line underneath to make sure it's just outside of the perimeter of the sides. You can see the line. And I do the same at this end. You can see the line. If I were to push down here, you'll see the line is on the outside of the sides. Okay, so the next thing I do, once I get it all centered, I learned this from the great Manuel Velasquez, who taught me this a few decades ago. Let me see, is that in focus? Am I having a focus problem? There we are. Crazy camera. Anyway, he taught me to use a dental pick. There we go. And you can see on this end, it has a little point on that end. And the same thing on this end, only goes the other way. And what I do is, I've got a whole package of them, but I go in here and I take the pick and I trace it alongside very carefully without moving anything. I scribe a line into the top of the kerfing, and I do it on each side. I'm trying to do this with one hand, but you get the idea. The line gets scribed. And I do it to each brace. And then while I'm at it, I made this little tool. Sorry about the camera work. I made this little tool with a piece of lead on the end of these tweezers. See? And this allows me to, let's get it in focus here. This allows me to go under the brace and mark where the outside of the outside edge of the side, let's say, the perimeter of the side. It gives me a mark, and then I measure back the thickness of the side, and that's where I cut my brace off, the end of the brace off, okay? So it's just, I'm having some focus problems here. I'm not quite sure why. There we go. It's really just a way of marking everything so that when I take the back off to cut the notches, I'm continuing to focus because it doesn't look like it's sharp to me. Hopefully it is. So the next thing I'll do is take these weights off in real time right here. So you can see Now I'll take the back off, and you'll see where I scribe those lines. Let me see if I can just get this in focus. Right there. See my little marks? Then we'll go to the next one. There they are. And the next one. A little bit harder to see, but there they are, right there in the middle. Two little scratch marks. And same on the other side. Sometimes it's hard to see and I have to redo them with a pencil, but there they are very clearly. And there is one. The other one's a little hard to see, but it's actually to the right of the one that you see really clearly. It's like right there. Okay. So I will hit those with a pencil, and okay, is that in focus? Hopefully. I'll hit those with a pencil, and then I'll draw some perpendicular lines. Let me put this back down for a second. Holding it with one hand here, not real safe. Okay, safe now. I'll take a pencil as an example, and I will just put it in there. And make a pencil line where there it is. See, I filled it in with lead. And same here, I'll look for the mark. This one's a little tougher because there's a cutout right there and there's a kerf right there. But there's one mark and there's the other. So they just have to be delineated. Same here. 1, 2. And once I get those done with lead, I'll take a little square like this guy. And I will, of course, draw a line right beside it. And then I'll measure down each brace. I will get an average length on the braces, the brace ends, because they'll vary just slightly. And I'll go with the shortest one, and that's the depth that I will cut them at, slightly above that. I'll cut them all, then I'll pop the back into once I get them all 6 done, nice and clean, because I'm really persnickety about that. But I will push the back down and see how it all fits. And what happens is, it has to fit at each cutout, which there's 6. It also has to fit well with the foot, and there's a lot of adjusting that usually has to happen. And then the angle of the top of the kerfing has to match exactly too, as does the tail, the top of the tail. So there's a ton of little things I need to check to make sure that when I push the back all the way down, everything fits perfectly, okay? And it's quite a process. These are just mirrors. There's me. And they're really handy to line everything up. I have 2 of them. I have more than 2. I have little ones as well. Let me see. I got broken ones and, here's a circular one, etc. That's my wedding ring. And I also have kayaks today. These are our Hobie Compass kayaks, which we're trying to sell. And they're outside in a shed. I took them out and we washed them and we're getting ready to sell them, but we're finding out that they're not worth nearly what we paid in 2019 when we bought them. They're about, as they are there, brand new, they're about $2,500 each, $2,500 each. And I'm trying to, they've only been used about 10 times and they're meticulous. There's no scratches on them or anything. So anyway, those are sort of occupying my space right now. But anyway, just a little quick lesson on fitting the back. And I may go into it in a little more detail later, but you get the idea. Bob Desmond signing out. Hope you have a great day.